Hey everyone. Quick note before this week's episode. There is no video for this week's episode as Marco was out of town on a business trip all week. We recorded the audio remotely, and so in case anyone was wondering why there wasn't any video coming up, that's why. So sit back, have a listen, and enjoy. Hello, and welcome back.
Welcome back to another episode of The Daily Budget. I am Marco.
I'm Alex, and we've got a good one for you guys today. We're going to sit down and we're going to have a talk.
A serious
talk. But not that talk, not the birds and the bees. More so, the birds and the fees. Because today we're going to be talking about money.
I think you lost them on that one.
Talking about money?
Talking about money.
It's super simple, super straightforward.
That's right. Today we're talking about money.
Exactly. But more specifically, talk about money with your friends, your family, partner, significant other. Having the money talks.
Yes.
You know, what too many people avoid and not enough people have.
Yes, the money talk. Just simply talking about money with your friends and your family, discussing your financial situation, and as well, even things like your salaries,
salary,
expenses,
debts, investments.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Now, why? Why is this important? Well, finance has always been very much a taboo subject in Western societies for decades. I mean, there's a generational divide too. I think our generation is a lot more open to talking about things, which is amazing. Whereas the generation of our parents and their parents were much more conservative with talking about the finances. What was it? What was that expression? Never ask a lady her age or a man his salary. Well, that stuff doesn't really work in the year 2020.
Nope. No. Opening yourself and having these conversations could really have a drastic impact in your life. It would help you understand where you stand personally, because some people just don't know what money means.
Oh, absolutely. And there are people like us. We're two people, and there are many more people out there who preach the word of personal finance and who promote this. But we can't reach everybody ourselves.
No.
We'll try to, absolutely, but the best outcome I think we can hope for in doing what we're doing here is to inspire you guys out there, to take your financial situations into your own hands and spark these conversations. Have these conversations yourselves. Take the initiative and do that. The end goal is just to empower people to lift each other up.
That's right.
Educate each other.
And that's the thing about education. It's so universal. You may know something that somebody else doesn't, and somebody may know something that you don't. By sharing that knowledge, you're guaranteeing that you both are able to move forward, to move into a higher level, right?
Absolutely. And listen, it's easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
There's no illusions about it, and we're not going to pretend that it's as easy as going and talking about your favorite sports team or the weather, to use the classic cliche.
The classic ones.
But it is important.
That's right.
And especially people who have experience either working in the financial industry in some capacity, at a bank, a credit union, or maybe you have a family member, your dad's an investment banker or what have you.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say those people, it's even more critical that you have these conversations in your own lives, if you don't already. Because with your experience and your knowledge, you could help a lot of people. Yeah.
And before, why do you think it's hard for some people to try to get into it, the whole money talk situation?
Well, there's a few reasons, but right off the top of my head, I would say, first and foremost, just they don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Money is just a kind of a concept. It's that thing that their employer gives them. It's the thing that they use to pay for their rent, their food, their drinks at the bar, whatever.
Yeah.
And the second, and maybe this is even bigger, is just embarrassment or nervousness, right?
Yeah.
Especially if your financial situation isn't necessarily the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is absolutely normal and understandable to be a little hesitant to talk about your finances.
Yeah, for sure. Even for myself, I'm thinking about my friends in our situation, how we've developed a conversation, and it just came about from just, hey, everything in this world is so personalized. It's all about you, your money, your debt, your expenses, your car, right? And it's even everything in regards to money is so personalized that it feels like you're unable to actually let it out. Hey, this is what I'm paying on my bank service charge. Do you know a bank that could get me a better rate? Something just as simple as that.
Yeah, talking about things like cell phone plans. Right? I just was talking yesterday to some friends about cell phone bills because I'm paying way too much for what I'm getting right now.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Yeah, but those are kind of simple subjects, but it's hard to talk about something very much more personal like salaries
or student debt.
Yeah, I mean, in my case, I work for the government, so my salary, along with everyone else's, is publicly available on the internet.
Yeah.
Anyone who knows my classification and level can look it up and see exactly what my yearly salary is. And I think that's helped normalize things for me a lot. Talk about salary, especially with a lot of my, with a lot of my friends, many of whom work in the government. Exactly. So we're all in the same boat. We all know what each other make.
Yeah.
But you have other kind of examples and other reasons to talk about it too. Thinking of private sector.
Yeah.
I forget where it was that I read this, but a while back, I want to say 6-8 months, I read a story about two people, man and a woman, in the same workplace doing the same job.
Yeah.
And the woman was being paid something like 10 or 15% less than the man.
Wow.
Which is unfortunately all too common.
Big
and she had no idea until one day they started talking about each other's salaries, and they realized that she was being paid that much less to do the exact same job.
Wow.
So then that male employee helped her to kind of formulate an argument and a case for her for her salary to be brought up. And I believe the result was that she went to her boss, presented that case, and did end up getting a raise to the same.
Yeah.
Which is how it should be.
Which is a very important fact because you've just touched a huge subject, which is the what's it called? The gap.
Yes. Yeah.
I think income gap.
The wage gap. That's. Yeah. I mean, there's so much to unpack there, and it's not something that we could do in this video. That'll be another video.
That would definitely be another video. But just to touch it lightly, having these conversations, just by simply opening up and having that conversation, she was able to realize that her situation was subpar to what it should be.
Yeah.
And now you could then go about formulating a strategy, thinking a plan, finding your options. And that's the best thing about money, is the fact the more options you have, the easier it may be for you. Like being able to decide whether or not you're going to move on with this particular money decision is very, very important.
No, absolutely. And, it's a perfect example that just illustrates how important it is.
Yeah.
But when you're having these conversations, as with everything, there are some do's and some don'ts.
So how do we have the money talk? How do we open up? What do we say? Ooh.
So first things first, you need to be a leader.
Yeah.
Right? It takes a huge amount of courage to be the first one to talk openly about their finances.
Yes.
But if you do so, if you take that first step, you're breaking the ice, and you're going to be putting other people at ease.
Yes.
And the chances of them subsequently opening up are much higher, and that can lead to a good discussion.
Yeah.
Right? You'll have a much better conversation because of it.
Yes.
Another thing, focus on lessons learned and provide value. Yes. So don't focus on the numbers themselves. If someone makes $50,000 a year, don't focus on that number. Focus on, let's say, what have they learned? Oh, I've learned that, on $50,000 a year, I could sustain a much higher lifestyle than I previously thought because I had, skewed perceptions.
Exactly. Not even, I'm in a different tax bracket at this level.
Yeah. Yeah, or I'm saying, my take home, even though I'm earning more than I did at my last job, my take home isn't significantly higher because of my tax bracket.
Yes.
And so, and add value, did you know if you contributed, X amount to your RRSP, it would lower your taxable income and you would go back to that effective tax bracket you were in before while still saving all that money.
Yes. So definitely focusing on adding value and learning something.
Yeah, if they've made some bad financial decisions, don't focus, on the negatives, the decision itself, the
Yeah.
cost. Focus on the lessons learned and how they can avoid it moving forward, and then
Yes.
how you can avoid making the same mistake.
The number one thing I like too is that I think it's probably the most important is to be patient.
Hmm.
A lot of financial situation may take a couple days to get to get into a bad situation, but might
Yeah.
actually take some years for you to get out of it. So being
Mhm.
patient with your finance, being patient with the conversation, and being
Yeah.
patient with your family members when those conversations are brought up
Hmm.
can help alleviate some of the tension and the stress from
Yeah.
the conversation itself.
Exactly. People need to ease into it. You
Yeah.
can't expect to lay everything on the table like right off the bat in one
Yeah,
conversation.
he's not your financial advisor; he's your friend.
Absolutely. But now I think that kind of segues nicely into some of the don'ts,
Don'ts.
right? Like what do you not want to do? All right. Now really, these are important. So don't force the conversation.
yeah,
right?
don't
Ties
force
right
it.
back into our last point. If someone isn't willing to talk about their finances, they don't want to.
Mhm.
Don't force it. It'll just make them more uncomfortable, make them less likely to open about it in the future, and depending on who it is, it could potentially damage the relationship you have with that person.
Yeah, some people just do not want to get involved in money talks.
Yeah, I mean, and while it's our goal to change that, you also have to respect people's
Respect.
personal boundaries and right to privacy.
That's right.
Yeah. What's something else you can do?
For me, don't be too cocky.
Hmm. Okay, what do you mean by cocky?
But don't believe that your situation is either too good or too bad.
Mhm.
Don't like certain people could actually be in the same situation as you are, and don't think that the way that you're going about your option or maneuvering out of that situation is the best.
Yeah.
There's always more information to be learned. There's
Mhm.
always value to be provided.
Yeah.
So when you bring your ego and your emotion into the conversation, you may lose out on a lot of lessons to be learned.
Yeah, it's really important to not believe yourself better or worse than anybody else just because your situation, your financial situation may be different.
That's right.
We all start at different points. We don't choose the circumstances into which we're born.
Yeah.
We can only work to improve our circumstances from whichever point we start off at.
Correct,
And so, you will not gain anything nor provide any value
Mhm.
in judging others or yourself in relation to anybody else.
That's right. Definitely do not criticize people's mistakes
Yes.
or criticize your own. Don't
Yeah.
focus on the negativity. Try to focus on the value and the lesson.
Exactly. We're here to lift people up. We're not here to put people down. And by criticizing them, you will do just
Just
that.
that.
Absolutely. So now we've covered a bit of the do's and don'ts, but what about some questions you should ask, right? Like, what are the kind of topics I should talk about? Yeah. What do you think?
For myself, like even for us, when the way we started our conversation in regards to money or just even billionaire, it was
Yeah.
just like, hey, have you ever had the conversation about money?
Mhm.
And it was just as simple as that.
Yeah.
Growing up, did your parents talk to you about money? No? Then bring out an experience within your
Mhm.
past or
Yeah.
something that may actually help you become more engaged with that person,
Mhm.
more engaged in the conversation.
Definitely. And, depending on who you're talking to, you can talk about a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Right? With your friends, you're probably going to be talking about salaries, right? Salaries and expenses, right?
Expenses.
Oh, you just bought a house? Nice. Know how much did it cost? If you don't mind me asking, like, what's your mortgage looking like? That kind of thing.
Yes, yes.
If it's with a significant other, then you're going to be having a lot more personal, a lot more in-depth conversations, especially if you're at the stage where you're looking to move in together and kind of join your finances.
Yes.
Right.
Actually, questions like what is your credit score?
Yeah.
Things
Credit
like
score, what debts do you have?
Yeah.
What are your spending habits? Because you hear and you see a lot of stories about people who get into relationships or even engaged or married, only to find out that their significant other has kept either, let's say, a gambling addiction or a six-figure debt from them, and it doesn't come out until it's too late. To
And
kind
even then, like imagine
Yeah.
your significant other's a millionaire and you didn't even know.
I don't know. I don't think that's as common. It's certainly a much better problem to have. But yeah, so having those talks and being completely open and honest about everything it's crucial.
It is crucial because these big life-making decisions are impactful, and these we know in 2020 most life decisions include and involve money.
Yeah, it's no secret that like the world revolves around money, and we're not saying this in a materialistic sense,
Nope.
but it's how you do anything and everything. You know, we're no longer in the days where you could trade wood and sheep for for a house
Right.
or food, right?
And we're no
Money.
longer in the days where a house costs $16,000. These, the bigger the number, the more impactful, and the harder it is if you make a mistake. Being aware, communicating your thoughts, and just
Yeah.
having the conversation.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings us to the end of this episode. And we wanted to do something different and take a moment to kind of shout out either local businesses or
Yeah.
people channels that we know who also helped spread personal finance. And the one that we'd like to talk about today, it's a YouTube channel called The Plain Bagel, run by a guy called Richard Coffin.
Yes.
I actually went to school with him. He's a year above me. Great
Nice.
guy, extremely knowledgeable, and his channel is mainly focused and dedicated to investments.
Investments, yes.
And he's really good at breaking down like highly complex technical subjects into like a very easy to digest, easy to understand format. In the form of like 5 to 10 minute YouTube videos. Again, it's called The Plain Bagel. We'd highly recommend that you check it out if you already haven't. And Richard, if you do end up listening to this, hey, keep up the great work, man, and thank you. You're one of the people that we look up to when we were just starting out and creating our content.
Yes. So shouts out to you, Richard.
Yeah, and that pretty much brings us to the end. That's it for this episode. Make sure to subscribe and follow us on YouTube. Give the videos a like, hit the bell notification, whatever, all the things that you need to do.
That's right.
Mhm.
Don't forget to spark the conversation about money with your friends, your family, and even your significant other. It's
Yeah.
very important, as you've learned, and being aware is actually very important in this day and age. And we're in the information age.
Yeah. So there you go. And if you have a question or request for us, send us an email, send us a DM on Instagram. We'll get back to you. Maybe make a video about it.
Sweet.
Yeah, but until next time, that's it for now.
Thank you guys.
Peace.
out.